found out my ex was cheating with her boss, that is 2 times her age, I started dating this girl, Jen, last year. At the time, I was living with my parents due to being given a 30-day notice to vacate after my apartment was bought by someone. I was going through some big career changes, so I admit my mind was in the wrong place, and I wasn't thinking as clearly and logically as I usually do. So keep that in mind while reading how stupid I was. When I was ready to look for a new place to move into, she wanted this place that was $300 to $400 above what I was hoping. I was an idiot and rushed things because I was dying to get out of my parents' place. We moved in together and she didn't pay any bills, even though she agreed to pay $400. She bought $50 of groceries once every 2 weeks, so I can't say she contributed nothing. We were sharing locations with each other since the beginning of our relationship. She shared hers with me without me requesting it randomly one night while she was out drinking with friends. I shared her mine in return because I figured she would want me to. Funny thing is, the same night she shared her location with me, she was taking an unusually long time to reply to my texts. I checked where she was and they were at a strip club. Jen said she was the designated driver. Then she said she was too drunk to drive, so one of the guys with them was driving her car for the group because they came with her car. I was concerned about her being drunk with a bunch of drunk guys at a strip club. Jen said she wasn't that drunk. When they leave the strip club, her location was headed to an area of a city where she had mentioned her ex lived. Jen claimed they weren't staying at her ex's place. I asked if she planned to sleep over at this place and how I was uncomfortable with her sleeping somewhere drunk with a group of drunk guys. She never replied until around noon the next day she asked to call. Over the phone, she basically said she didn't have fun last night and complained how her co-workers were shitty people. When I asked about the place she slept at, she said she passed out on the floor and wasn't with anyone. Jen claimed it wasn't her ex's apartment, but the other girl in the group, Ashley. I know the vehicle Ashley drives, and after breaking up, I drove by this apartment a couple evenings since it's on the way to my parents. I never saw Ashley's car there. I realize now how stupid I was and how I should have ghosted her that morning and blocked her. I trust too easily, and I'm fixing that going forward. As the relationship progressed, Jen was constantly starting fights about tiny stuff, like having women following me on social media who I wasn't even following back. Jen would stare daggers at me if I looked in the direction of any woman in public. I remember gazing into space once, and she got mad because I was staring at someone. This someone was a very obese, homely person. Any mention or story of my past encounters with women would cause a day-long fight. She made me throw away anything from my previous girlfriend. Aside from all of this, and much more I don't feel like typing, she would always tell me how I was the love of her life, and how I couldn't leave her. She wanted to get married and have kids, like yesterday. We were only together 6 months, and she was pressuring me into marrying her. I started to use extra caution with sex because I didn't want to have kids at this point in my life, and she was saying things that were making me think she would stop taking her birth control. Around 4 months into things, her location stopped showing up. I brought it up, and she gave some bullshit excuse, and it turned it on. A week later, it's gone again. I waited a week to bring it up, and this time she didn't even bother turning it back on. Over time, as I began to see who she really was, I lost desire to have sex with her as much. This caused more fights because she wanted to have sex every day. One day I noticed what looked like a hickey on her. It was super faint and may have been covered in makeup. When I asked about it, her response was telling me I was right. She barely acknowledged my concern about the mark, and we never spoke of it again. That was the day I snapped out of it. I realized I needed to end things. The next day she had a friend pass who I never heard her talk about once, let alone met. She wanted to go to the funeral 14 hours away and asked me to go with her. I said I didn't want to go, and this caused another fight. Apparently, throughout our entire relationship, her boss was trying to get in her pants at her job. He was trash-talking me, and anytime we had fights over little things, she would vent at work to him. He is over 2 times her age with kids older than her. He told her once how I would never have to find out. Anyway, her boss told her that he would go with her to this funeral. Apparently, this was the first time they slept together, so she claimed it was my fault because I didn't go to the funeral with her. But she is a pathological liar, so I obviously don't take that seriously. What's worse, when she came back, she immediately tried to have sex with me. She was very persistent, to the point of not taking no for an answer. So not only did she cheat on me for half of our relationship, but she exposed me to risk of STDs from her creepy boss. The next day, she was gone with a bunch of stuff of hers as well. She claimed she needed a break and was staying at a coworker's house. I very much liked this specific coworker, so I wasn't uncomfortable with that part. Over the course of a week, she would visit me and texted me daily, how she wanted to be back with me and happy again. She said she just needed to know I would support her, referring to me not going to the funeral 14 hours away for a guy I've never even heard of. While she was gone, I talked to an old buddy of mine who she used to get so pissed off when I would talk to him, saying things like, "You like him more than me and I'm your girlfriend." Well, I spilled the whole situation to my friend and he said I was being dumb and she was obviously cheating on me. The next day, I drove by the house of this boss of hers and saw her car parked inside the garage. IDK, how I timed it so perfectly to see her car there before she shut the garage door. BC, when I passed by to leave the area, it was shut. I had already taken a picture, luckily, sent it to Jen, and she accused me of following her. I told her to get all her shit and never contact me again. She had me put all of her things outside and came by with her boss she was sleeping with to help her get all of it. Never saw her in person since, but we had one phone call. I'll admit, I was harsh and called her a whore. When I told her about all the things I was suspicious about during our relationship, she told me with what sounded like a smile on her face, "Yeah, I lied to you a lot." She said her new boyfriend, her boss, was going to take her on multiple trips to Europe, and he was letting her rent out a room of his. She initially told me I could keep certain things she bought for the apartment. I gave her the $600 worth of gifts I got her. Over the course of 2 weeks after the end, she kept texting that she wanted this or that. I got sick of being in contact with her, so I said, "Tell me everything you want, then I'm blocking you." She snapped and said she wanted everything that I didn't pay for. I asked for the gifts I gave her, and she refused to give those up. I put all of the stuff out because it wasn't worth it to me. I blocked her, and that was it.